Hello everyone! How are you guys doing? Happy Monday! There's so many people here with me. Hello guys! Rory, what's up? Maida, Burning Spirit, yes, how are you? And would you rather call me, or would you rather me call you by your current username? Or that one? Or I guess it doesn't really matter too much. But yes, I know who you are. Thank you for letting me know though. Just in case. Because anytime I swapped my usernames on like Twitch or anything when I was like a mod in the chat, no one would know who I am, so it is good to have a reminder just in case. Salvador, how's it going? Ghost Wolf, oh my gosh, you guys. Jovan, how are you? Okay, great. Perfect. So as you guys can see, we're going to be touching a little bit more on lucid dreaming, astral travel, and all of the things. I really want to hear about your guys' struggles, and even if you're just losing motivation or something, like let me know where you're at, because I totally get it with the ebb and flow of the dream practice. Sometimes you're super pumped, sometimes you're so excited, you're so motivated, you're taking in, literature on it, you're watching videos on it, and you're like ready every single night to have an experience. And then there's some nights where you're like, why don't I want to do this? And sometimes you might have months like that. I had almost a whole year like that a couple years ago, and even this past year has been rough for me, because obviously my grandma passed almost exactly a year ago. So as you guys know, I took care of my grandma in hospice, and she passed away on the 28th. It's the 24th. So this time last year, it was really hard for me, obviously, to focus on dreaming and all of that, and that kind of continued throughout the year until, even like probably 3 or 4 months ago is when I really started to feel like I could relax and focus on my practice. So I totally get it. You're going to feel really inspired and really ready and really motivated, and then sometimes that's going to fall away, and then you just have to, you're kind of wondering how to get back to that. And I always saw that version of myself. I don't even know what I'd call that version of myself. It was like my most inspired dreaming self. Like I was so excited to do breath work all the time. I was lucid dreaming consistently. I was constantly reading. Like all I really watched was like documentaries and stuff, and I just wanted to learn. But it's okay to fall out of that. That you're still that person. It's not like you were faking it, or it's a part of you that's never going to come back. I totally relate to that. If any of you have experienced that, like, oh my gosh, I miss that like really inspired, excited, dreaming version of myself who like wanted to learn about spirituality and self-growth and try all these different like mind-altering practices that we can do naturally, like breath work, lucid dreaming, astral projection, like liminal dreaming, all of that. Jacob, so glad to see you come back. How's it going? So if you ever feel like that, I totally get it. And I just want to hear about your struggles, because I can talk a lot about the techniques that we can do and the practices that we can do to support our dreams and astral travel. But if we're not feeling emotionally there, or we feel like there's a roadblock in our practice, obviously that's going to affect it to a great degree. So it is good to just hear about where you guys are at, and yeah, where your practices are at and how you feel. I was so excited when I remembered it was Monday. I literally had forgotten until minutes ago. Sometimes it takes forever to get to Monday, sometimes it comes really quickly. And that was also me this morning. I woke up and I was definitely very excited for the live, but I realized how much I wanted to take care of my space and like clean it and get it ready, just to like, it just makes me feel so much better. Cleaning up my space, organizing. I just got new candles, so I've been like pumped about that. So I'm like, I want to create the fall vibe. I want to have soft jazz music on. I want to have the candles burning. I want to have my incense going. I want my fall decor up and all my lights on. And I have Christmas lights in like every single room of my house. Like you can't really see them. But if I tilted it up, those lights, I have lights like that all over my house. In my living room, I have them hung up on the ceiling so it looks like sparkly stars when you look up. I have them all around my desk, in my room, all the glow-in-the-dark stars in there. Like every room is kind of like, relaxing and dreamy. At least that's what I try to make it be, because that's when I feel the most inspired. That's when I create the best stuff, whether it's business or just like creative stuff that I'm doing, is when my space feels really nice. And that's also something that helps me want to lucid dream and want to have out-of-body experiences, is when my space feels supportive of that goal, because it's very hard to relax and get really pumped up for a practice like this when your space feels like just makes you feel claustrophobic or heavy or stressed, or and if our spaces, especially our bedrooms, if our bedrooms feel really chaotic and we have a lot of stuff in there and it's kind of cluttered in our dream space, then you're going to feel cluttered. Like, I heard something which said, like, how your kind of outer environment looks is kind of almost a reflection of your inner environment. And that may not be true for some, but I've definitely found that be true for me. When I'm feeling my best and my most energized and all of that, my space kind of reflects that, because I just have the energy and the motivation to keep it a certain way. And then, of course, like, after my grandma passed away, I didn't do my laundry for, like, probably a month, like, but I have a lot of clothes. So I just had it, like, piled up, like, in my washer and, like, all this stuff, and I just noticed kind of things getting out of control, and I was like, wow, that really does reflect how I've been feeling inside. So that's also a good reminder as well, is that at least your bedroom, where you do these practices or wherever you do it, you want it to feel like it kind of, like, just gently guides you into that space, Like, for those of you who are a patron or a YouTube member, I just released a video guiding you guys through nighttime guided meditation, the one that I do every night, and we were looking at, like, my glow-in-the-dark stars and stuff on my ceiling, and I just wanted to bring you into what I was experiencing and how I spend my night. I'll lay there, and that's when my thoughts get the most, like, exciting and just, like, imaginative, is, like, right before I sleep. And I'm also a night owl, like a hardcore night owl. Like, I will stay awake till, like, 7 in the morning sometimes. But that's when I get my most energy, and that's when I'm most creative. So yes, sometimes I do stay up until, like, 6 or 7 in the morning, and then I wake up at, like, 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. But I've been trying to manage it so it's not totally like that. But that's just when I feel the most in that space, so I do a lot of my work at night. But I've definitely been working on managing my schedule and my sleep schedule, because also with Lucid Dreaming Out-of-Body Experiences, number one, you don't want your schedule to be too strict where you're, like, doing your techniques at the same time every single night, because your brain will eventually get used to that and start waking you up. But you also don't want your schedule to be extremely sporadic, like mine can be sometimes, where I'm, like, going to bed at 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. sometimes, and then other times it's, like, 7 or 8 in the morning. And that's, like, probably the earliest I go to bed is 1 a.m. That's like 9 p.m. for me. But some people get their energy and their creative burst in the morning, afternoon. Mine's for sure at night. I'm like how, like, those of you who have cats, at least my experience with cats is they get, like, zoomies at night. Like, everything will be quiet, all the lights are off, everybody's sleeping, and then the cat is just going fucking nuts, like, wild, like, run around, running into things. I feel like that. I feel like a cat in a lot of ways. And that is one of them, is, like, once it's nighttime, I am, like, ready to go, which can also sometimes make it difficult for me to sleep. So these are a couple of my things that I've been going through with my practice. I wanted to kind of let you guys know some of the things I'm working on. So my sleep schedule is one of them. Managing the time where I get the most intuitive or creative or energized, and keeping my space really nice and clean. Like, those are my main thing, because when my space is clean, like, everything else kind of seems to find a place. In my mind, I get more stuff done. Those are just the things that I've noticed personally. Hello, everybody. I went on a little tangent. Glad you're here. Let me catch up on what's going on and who's in here. Eric, you're in here. Freethinker, what is up? I like Minecraft gaming. What is up? Omar, how's it going? Greg, don't worry at all. You're totally fine. Yeah, so the liminal state, we'll actually talk about that, because that plays a huge role in your ability to lucid dream, enter really deep states in meditation, and also induce out-of-body experiences. So if you're not familiar with the liminal state, you gotta learn about the liminal state. Also, I watched a really crazy video the other day on the back rooms and liminal spaces, and how liminal spaces are even created. And even though it's not talking about dreams, like, liminal dreaming, it just kept popping up for me in that video. And liminal literally translates to like threshold. You know, when you're in a liminal space, it's usually like super open. Like we played super liminal, right? It's usually super open, there's no one around, and it's like a place where there was life. It's automatically just super still. And it almost has that similar energy to like the back rooms, if you guys have heard about the back rooms and stuff. So it makes sense that it's like the word liminal literally means in between or threshold, because that's how it is for the liminal state as well. You're in between being awake and being asleep. So you enter like this perfect like golden state of consciousness where so much incredible stuff happens, but most of the time our mind falls asleep before we even get to that space, right? Like usually our mind falls asleep before our body, usually. But with practice, we can actually witness our body fall asleep and then keep our mind awake, which is super cool, which is where a lot of the crazy stuff happens. And this is something that's been talked about in Tibetan Buddhism for a long time. And entering, like, creating conscious awareness in different states of sleep. Like sleep yoga is consciousness in deep sleep. And obviously, dream yoga and lucid dreaming happens in REM sleep. Oh, by the way, this is my bear. I forgot to introduce you to him. So this is actually one of the first teddy bears like I ever got. My grandma gave this to me, and I just felt like he wanted to hang out today. Usually he's in my bedroom. Oh, these also glow in the dark, so that's really cool. But yes, I got this. I got him probably when I was like 5 or 6. So I guess obviously not one of my very first stuffed animals, but he's been with me for around 20 years, and he's perfect. Anyways, yeah, glow-in-the-dark bear to match my glow-in-the-dark stars. Everything stars, sun, moon in this house. Like if you walked in here, it was kind of funny because when I hosted hospice last year, the CNAs would come in, you know, all the time, and when they first walked in, they're like, "Wow, I can see why your grandma wanted to be in this space. It's very relaxing and interesting, and there's a lot to look at. Like you can tell an artist lives here because it's like chaotic, but in like a beautiful, fun way. At least that's how I see it. There's just paintings everywhere, and it's very, yes. Anyways, but I guess that does kind of tell you if you're feeling uninspired in your practice. Maybe spicing things up to help you feel inspired. I wonder if I can show you my living room with this little webcam. Okay. Juno's on the couch over there. So this is kind of like my main space. You can see my bedroom on the right. Yes. That is my living room right now. I don't have all my lights up yet, but we're getting there. And I definitely have trees up all year round. I have a little Christmas tree out in the living room, and then I have one in my room, but I decorate them for the seasons. So since it's fall right now, I have fall tree ornaments on, like leaves and stuff. And then if it's Valentine's Day or like whatever you want to celebrate, I don't even know, just throughout the year for fun, you can put hearts on it, or you can, whatever time of year it is, you know? And you can just kind of spice up your space. And that also helps me feel very like a child. Like I love to feel like a child with how I see the world, you know, and how I move in the world, if that makes sense. And I feel like that naturally helps with lucid dreaming and stuff, because these practices kind of require a very like open mind, you know, like just curiosity, you know, and just like this openness and wonder that I feel like children have naturally, and that we all have, but some of us can lose that over time or as we grow up. And I think that that's also why children are natural dreamers, you know, and they have these crazy experiences all the time. It's because they're kind of like a pure vessel, and we can maintain that. We don't have to lose that, you know. I think a lot of it is how we allow ourselves to see the world. How do you want to see the world? Not what you think is possible or how you've been told you should see it, but how do you want to see the world? What are the things that you would want to do in your most like magical reality? Because you can do them. You don't need permission. You just need to give yourself permission. And I think that naturally makes you super inspired to learn about different things and to dream and like all of these things that used to make you excited or whatever that is for you. But to me, my space and my ability to like let myself create is helpful. And I'm always trying to do something new. Like right now I'm learning Norwegian. I just got my two tutor books, and I'm also taking an online course on Norwegian and stuff, and I've never learned another language before, so I was like, I'm gonna try it. So just try new things that inspire you, and the more you feel inspired, it's almost like you're on that frequency of inspiration, and so you naturally experience more that makes you feel inspired. It's kind of like wealth consciousness. Now there's money mindset, which is what you believe about money and the programming you have around money, but wealth consciousness is being in the consciousness and the energy of wealth. And this means gratitude for everything. This means like wealth of love around you and creativity. This is just embodying the archetype of wealth consciousness. Once you're on the frequency of that, you naturally experience more that is on that level because our brain seeks its own narrative that we give it out in the world. So that's like when people say, oh, I have bad luck. I know I have bad luck. Watch what's going to happen today. I bet you something bad will happen. And of course, now their brain is looking for that because the brain wants to support your narrative. The brain believes whatever you tell it, it's right. And so it looks for evidence. It looks for proof. And so people literally manifest those bad luck experiences, and they're just really affirming their own narrative over and over. That's all that it is. So when you're on the frequency of inspired or creative, you will naturally find more things and be able to see and perceive more things that are on that level. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy that we can use to our benefit or to our detriment. But we get to choose. Like, that's what's so cool. Like, you just choose. And then you just practice the things that mean a lot to you, like what would wealth consciousness look like? How do you want to think about money? How do you want to think about yourself? How do you want to think about your everyday, and you're basically constructing this life and this archetype of yourself that you're training yourself to be, just like a language. Just like we can learn a language, we can also learn about the things that make us feel the most alive and incorporate those until that becomes who we are. That's literally reality shifting. And we talk about that all the time. But anyways, yes, the magic of novelty. Also, Rory, I definitely agree that I'm a little caffeinated as well. If you couldn't tell, I'm like very ready to talk to you guys. I'm always ready, but today I'm like, my mouth is like extra ready and my brain is like, okay. I would love to hear what you guys have with you. Do you have a tea? Do you have a sparkling water? I just got this new sparkling water. Yes, I'm a LaCroix girl. I'm any type of sparkling water girl though. This one's called Beach Plum, and it tastes like blueberries. Which, if you know me, blueberry anything is my absolute weakness. I love blueberry, and I'm mad that a lot of desserts and people don't know to make like blueberries and cream types desserts, or like why is blueberry not used in like sweets or food a lot? Like, why? They're really doing themselves a disservice. Anyways, that's not the point. I wonder if valerian is considered an oneirogen. Yeah, it kind of is, because I actually always have valerian, especially if you have insomnia or you have a hard time sleeping. Valerian root is great to have. So yeah, I would say that it's an oneirogen, especially if you're wanting to kind of balance out your sleep cycle. And by the way, people think that melatonin helps you sleep. It actually doesn't. Melatonin doesn't help you sleep. It's taken to balance out your sleeping cycle and regulate your sleeping cycle, which doesn't necessarily mean deep sleep either. There's several stages in sleep, and so it's regulating your sleep cycle. So some people have said, yeah, I was taking melatonin nightly, and it was working incredible, and I was getting all this sleep, and now all of a sudden now my sleep's messed up and I have to keep upping the dose. That's because it's trying to balance out your entire sleeping cycle, and we don't need to take melatonin. We get enough melatonin from foods that naturally have melatonin in them. So this could be dark cherries, cherry juice, mushrooms, cheese, pistachios is very high in pretty much it's melatonin, but the compound is called tryptophan, and tryptophan is kind of converted into natural melatonin in the body. So if you want to eat foods that help you sleep and encourage restful sleep, look for foods that are high in tryptophan. And it's also been said that even eating a handful of pistachios before bed is like taking like a natural sleep aid, like a couple capsules of valerian or melatonin, if you know it worked for you when you first started taking it. So yes, also almonds, almond milk. This is the same reason why people get tired after eating a Thanksgiving dinner, because turkey is very high in tryptophan, and after you eat turkey, the tryptophan is converted into melatonin, and then you start to feel tired after your meal. So if you've ever wondered why people feel tired after eating turkey, it's because it's high in melatonin. So that's another thing that you could, tryptophan that's converted into melatonin, but that's another thing you can keep in mind if you're wanting to find a natural sleep aid. And it gives us enough where it doesn't mess up our sleeping cycle or our sleep. When we take capsules of melatonin, that's such a high amount of melatonin condensed in such a small tablet that the body can't break that down properly because it's too much. That's why we usually should get, you know, that kind of stuff from foods that naturally have those compounds. But with melatonin capsules, it's a lot of times too much for the body to break down, and that's why you experience kind of a roller coaster of how the quality of your sleep when you're taking like actual melatonin supplements. So I would definitely try valerian root if you're wanting like capsules to take, and I took 2 an hour before bed, and I was like very tired the next day. I slept all through the night and I was like pretty tired the next day, so I guess it depends on your tolerance, but I would try taking no more than just 2, like an hour to an hour and a half before bed, and see what that does. But if you're like kind of lightweight, like me, maybe 1 capsule like an hour before bed is good. And I think they're like 500 grams of valerian root, and valerian root also helps with anxiety, stress, and dream recall. So it's like, I would say it's an oneirogen, and pretty much, guys, what an oneirogen is, it's basically just what oneironauts or lucid dreamers call herbs or supplements or natural tools to use in their practice. So oneirogens would be like lucid dreaming herbs and plants and stuff like that people use to induce those experiences. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. I'm curious if you have any experience with those who have had a near-death experience. I had this experience as a child 6 decades ago. I also had a near-death experience when I was 18. I definitely don't talk about the experience a lot because that was kind of like a hard time in my life, and it's like a lot to talk about, but I did have a near-death experience when I was 18, and it was a very crazy experience. And in the hospital, actually, I already kind of went to a different place at this point, and I confirmed some of the stuff after with people, but eventually I like fell asleep or something, and I think this was a dream at first because it like what started out as a dream, but then it kind of turned into like an actual near-death experience, or maybe I'll just tell you what it is. So after I kind of like passed out or closed my eyes or whatever, apparently after, the nurses told me that I had died for like 2 hours, or my heart stopped at least for like 2 hours, and they had to have me hooked up to machines so it could like beat electricity into my heart and help it beat. And I guess that lasted for 2 hours, but it like went like this, like it was like a blip in time. Some people say that it was actually a blip in time, but their experience felt like days. Mine was the opposite. Like apparently it was a longer time in real life or waking life, but for me it was almost like the length of a dream. But there was so much that happened within it, so time is definitely messed up in those experiences as well. But pretty much when I entered this different state, first I could see above the room. I was kind of where the light was. I could see my body and people like rushing in, and I guess that's when my heart stopped beating because I heard different machines going on, and I saw people run in, and then I wasn't really thinking. It was like kind of like infinite space. You kind of just watch everything, but you're not like really thinking about it, and you're not judging it either because you're separate from your physical body. But like after that, that's where I think I went into a dream, because all of a sudden it went from that view to like you snap and I'm in the, almost like if I like passed away or something, like they were like rolling my bed down the hallway, but in the hallway was every person that I've ever met, anyone that I've ever known, and they were all lined up on both sides, and they were just like wheeling me through this hallway. But I was awake and I was like looking at these people, and they had like no emotions at all. It was actually very terrible. I couldn't talk. Oh, hopefully, okay, we're back on. But I couldn't talk. And then all of a sudden I actually wake up. Like all of that's over and I actually wake up, and apparently it's like the next day or something, or in the middle of the night, because I'm in the hospital. I'm like hooked up to stuff, and like I had to check if I was awake or not, because I literally felt like I was dreaming. It was the weirdest thing. The hospital was completely silent. I was like the only one in there, and I was like calling for someone, like hello, is anybody there? And like no one was there. I remember like pulling the stuff out of my arms. Like I was awake and I actually did that. I pulled everything off and I started walking down this hallway. It was so scary, like there was no one in there. And then I remember this one guy passing. I was like, hello, can you help me? And I was awake, but he acted like he didn't even see me. He like just kept walking, didn't say anything. And he was like in a nurse's like, you know, scrubs and stuff. He didn't even see me. So I was like so confused if I was awake or not. And I was so disoriented because of whatever they did. They probably gave me lots of different medication too. I don't really know. But I was so disorienting. And the whole experience after that, like how I actually found where I was, how I got out of the hospital, how I got home, like it's a whole thing. I could probably write a book on this experience. But to long story short, yes, I do know myself who's had an out-of-body experience. I don't know anybody else that's personally shared their story with me, like online friends for sure, but like in my waking experience, I don't remember hearing about anyone else's. So mine is really the only one I have to go off of, besides ones that I've seen in like documentaries and stuff like that. It's a very weird experience. It's very, very, very crazy. But I'll have to probably like write about this or something sometime. But yes, that's when I knew that there was more to, even like you could tell it wasn't a lucid dream. You could tell it wasn't an out-of-body experience, but it felt very close to what astral travel feels like, because it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like the same mechanism that happens when you separate, you know, and the way you perceive the world and how everything feels. Like astral travel has this like this alien-like, otherworldly, unfamiliar feeling. It's not like an earthly feeling that we're used to. It's like something, that's why so many people are scared to have that experience, because you are like stepping into the unknown, you know, like we're so used to our human bodies and how we think, and these personas that we've created out of these human avatars that we're playing, you know, like that's our comfort zone. And then all of a sudden we are completely stripped from that. We're completely stripped from that, and we're just the awareness behind it. Like it's so weird. So think about this, like let's say that you're in a room, just a room with just like white walls, no doors or anything. You're just in this room, and in this room there are like your friends and family and like people you know, yourself, and like a piano in this room. Okay, now the piano ceases to exist. Like, okay, cool. the piano's gone. I don't have any connection to the piano necessarily. That doesn't change too much about how I think or perceive about things. That's fine. You wouldn't really care too much. Now, the people that you know and that you love, they're just like non-existent. Like, not that they passed or anything, they just are non-existent. Now you're starting to step into a territory that feels a little bit scary and unfamiliar because the people that have helped you kind of ground yourself in this human experience just kind of cease to exist, and that's kind of like weird to feel, right? Like, obviously, it's just very uncomfortable. Now, imagine yourself just not existing. What does that feel like to you? It's not like you can still think like, oh my gosh, I'm not in this room anymore. That's who you are. The awareness, that ceases to exist. It's not your body. We are so much more than our bodies. We are the one who sees, the one who perceives. And when you imagine that ceasing to exist, you can't think about being gone. It's not like you can rationalize or like have an identity in any form because you cease to exist, right? That's kind of what it feels like sometimes when you have these, at least like kind of in my near-death experience, that's kind of what it felt like. I didn't really have an identity. I was just watching everything happen. But even then, like, imagine if I wasn't watching it on. It just was like, you know, thinking about the concept of not having our awareness is what tells us that we are gone. So that proves to you guys that we're not our bodies. We are not the personas that we create. We are not the people in our lives. Like, it all comes down to that single awareness, that ability to perceive. That's who we are. And so we feel like when we feel like that's threatened, you know, in new experiences that we've never had, like, that's where true fear lies. And what's cool is like the out-of-body experience really helps you kind of break through that fear barrier, because if you can step into the unknown in an experience like that and completely surrender and allow whatever's meant to happen, like, you would never let like performing on stage for the first time or this or that hold you back, because you experienced the epitome of the unknown, the epitome of like life and reality and not knowing what rabbit hole you're going in. That's so much bigger and deeper than the fear of going on stage for the first time, or the fear of doing this, you know, like. So that's one way that astral travel and these practices can transform your life, because it helps you perceive so much more than just this reality as our human avatars on this planet that we call Earth. Like you become so much more than that. And that allows you to do so much more in this physical reality, because now you have an expanded perspective of who you are, who other people are, and what's truly possible. And that will also help heal relationships as well, because you'll realize this person is not actually angry at me. This person is not like, this person not accepting me or whatever it is does not define anything about who I am. Like, everyone is experiencing their totally personalized experience. We are one consciousness broken out into several different like you know, fractals of consciousness, but together we make a whole consciousness, you know, the collective consciousness. But when that's spread apart, you just see other people as souls that are going through their own healing, people, true, just beings of light, truly, that are playing this role of this avatar, and everything they're going through is actually elevating their own consciousness for whatever happens, for whatever they wanted to experience in this life, and for whatever comes after. You know, you start to not take things as personally from other people, because you realize it's not about you, because they don't even know who I truly am in their human mind, you know. So it can't, their human issues can't possibly be about who I truly am, you know. It's just, we all see through the lenses of our own perception. And I think astral travel shows us that, and then it really builds your empathy, I think, for others and for yourself and for the experiences that we have, because it's not just like, oh, I met an alien and then I did this, you know, which is still sick, like that's still super cool, but like these experiences aren't just like, ooh, I wanted to like fulfill this or like do this. It doesn't lie within self-gratification, you know. It's so much bigger than that, and allows us to truly experience life on a whole different wavelength, you know, and how we interact with other people and the things that we allow ourselves to actually try and do. We won't take things as seriously because we don't need to. And I think those experiences show us that we can play and laugh a little bit more and have fun. Like, it doesn't, things really are not as serious as we make them out to be. And this is freeing. This is very freeing when you get to that point of realizing that, oh, I can just let go of this, you know, especially if it's something you can't control. Just let go and see how much lighter you feel. Certain relationships, if you feel like you're the only one pulling these relationships and they're hanging on by a thread, just stop forcing, just stop trying to prevent feeling a disturbance inside and trying to prevent other people from feeling a disturbance inside, because that's resistance. Just allow things to be and just let them go, especially if it's something you can't control. And you'll also notice that your out-of-body experiences and your dreams might be a little bit more prominent because you're creating space. Everything is energy, and that really reflects in our out-of-body experiences and stuff. I remember when I had like a dry spell for a while in my like out-of-body experiences and stuff, and I told myself I'm just gonna try like going through my energy centers and just like working with them. And I did something as basic as like this like 2-hour like chakra full clearing meditation, like a guided meditation. It was from like Jason Stevenson or something. I was like, cool, because I know at the core those are, we just have different energy centers in the body, and depending on what emotional or energetic blockage is there, it will kind of determine what space we need to clear, you know, whether it's speaking our truth, whether it's feeling things more fully or being honest or authentic, whether it is our security, our finances. Like, everything has a different location in the body depending on the energetic frequency of it, and so we place these in individual brackets, which we call, you know, chakras or energy centers. So it makes sense that when we work with those and we clear them out and we give awareness to them, which is the key of healing, because we cannot heal things without bringing them to awareness first, because if we avoid them, that is just suppression, and we are doing the opposite of healing work. It really backfires if we do that. So allowing yourself to feel fully what wants to come up. Allow yourself to tap into these different spaces fully. And I did that. That night I had an out-of-body experience. So I'm just saying, like, energy centers and really working with your personal space, your emotional space, and working to just notice what clutter is in your mind that maybe you don't have to hold on to, because again, we're not our minds, and our mind will do its best to try to prevent a disturbance inside, because when we feel an emotion that doesn't feel good, the brain thinks that is suffering, and so it tries to keep us away from it by feeding us information that will cause us to avoid things, reject things, deny things, and we do this subconsciously. We're human beings. This is okay. Like, all of us do this, but not everybody becomes aware of these things, and not everybody wants to. And so if you just invite yourself to become more aware of things that maybe you're trying to control that you can't control, or things that you can't actually let go of, and your world wouldn't crumble around you like your brain has told you it would, if you just allow more spaces in those areas and allow yourself to relax a little bit more, you'd be like, wow, things are actually still fine. So yeah, that was all a mind game that was going on. And that's very freeing. And I think it will allow you to be more free in your personal life, and your creativity, and in your dreams, and your out-of-body experiences, and it will reflect. Because again, if you're in the certain wavelength or energetic frequency of surrender or allowing, or just allowing yourself to feel peaceful in any moment, you are on the frequency of peace, and you will see more that is on that level that makes you feel that way, because you've changed your brain's narrative of what it's looking for. So I needed to breathe. So that definitely helps with inducing lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences naturally. Again, we're still kind of talking about just like clearing out the mental clutter, emotional clutter, because a lot of it isn't techniques and all of that. A lot of it is we naturally have these experiences. And it makes sense that when we build a habit of awareness and mindfulness, we naturally become aware in our dreams. Why is that? Well, because mindfulness, awareness, is our natural state. We have been fed programming and clutter that make us think it's not natural. And we went so long without taking time to see through that mindful lens that we think it's a chore now, that we have to sit down and meditate for 10 minutes, become aware, and then that's it. No, awareness is just a natural way of living. It's a natural way of being. And I think that's one thing that stops people from inducing lucid dreams is they think it's a chore. They think it's a chore to do reality checks. They think it's a chore to write their dreams down. When really, you don't necessarily have to set your alarm every hour to do a reality check. You basically, the reason why you do that is to help create a habit of awareness, but you can do that naturally by just seeing the world, just taking a little bit more time to see the world the way that it is, or the way that you think it is, to be in the moments that feel, you know, the ones that you wish you could capture forever, like the sun going down with your favorite person or your favorite cup of tea, like that kind of awareness where you're savoring the moment and you're fully present in it because you don't want to miss a thing. It's that exact thing, but trying to prolong that in every experience of your life. And that will allow you to be so much more free and to feel so much more like full and alive, but it will naturally allow you to do that in your dreams. You won't have to set alarms to do reality checks. You won't, because that's our natural state. We're just trying to get back to our natural state and clear out the things that are not natural for us to experience, things that we've adopted or think that we have to hold on to. We do not have to do that. And if you're holding on to something, whether it's a person, a relationship, or a physical object, or a position in a workplace or whatever, just ask yourself why. Okay, I've become aware that I'm holding on to this. Why? Or why is it important to me that I have this? And you'll notice sometimes it's out of guilt or it's out of fear, and that's not your natural state. So now you realize that you're also doing that to prevent feeling a disturbance inside, guilt or this. So everything, like, we don't even know it, but our brain is running the whole show. Like, what, like, if we feed our brain one sentence and it will run with it. So we really have to be careful of, and of course there's a lot of stuff we have to correct from childhood. It wasn't our fault, the programming that we experienced, right? But now we have the safety and the awareness to deal with these things in a way where we can fully express and then release it, right? The only reason we have certain emotional trauma is because we weren't safe enough to experience that in the moment, that the psyche basically pressed pause on that experience and stored it in the body. And that's why when trauma comes up, it feels like you're literally back in the experience. It's because you are to your body. Your body thinks that you are back in that experience because it didn't have time to express those feelings and then integrate it and release it. It got paused. And so now the healing work is unpausing the button and allowing yourself to be in that state for a little bit until it naturally releases and integrates. That is healing. That is inner child work, is going to the places in yourself, in your life, where you feel you have had to press pause because it wasn't a priority to feel, you weren't allowed to feel, you weren't allowed to experience whatever it was. Allow yourself to unpause in a safe space where you can hold yourself, where you can reparent yourself, where you know it's okay to experience that. That is healing. So obviously we have to have awareness in those situations, right? So even awareness heals us. Awareness allows us to see synchronicities and magic that we didn't know existed before. Awareness naturally allows us to have dreams and lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences. That's what awareness does. Awareness is not just setting an alarm on your reality check and now knowing this, that's going to feel like such a small thing to give back to the present moment, because awareness is our natural state and allows everything to thrive and to flow. And to get back to that state, it's about bringing awareness to the places where we maybe haven't for a while, you know? Things will naturally flow. It's less about trying to make things a certain way and realizing when we're trying or trying to control something when we don't have to, and we can just let the energy go. You know, when we're holding on to things in ways, it's like creating a kink in the hose, you know, like the water can't flow out of the hose because we're trying to control the direction that it goes or how fast the water goes or whatever it is, when really, if we just let go, it will naturally flow at a consistent pace that really allows us to see why things are happening. So think about awareness like that when you're dreaming, when you're lucid dreaming. Think about lucidity like that, and your practice will change. Look at what things in your life you see as a chore in what things you see as a gift or a luxury or a priority. Self-care is not a luxury, by the way. We treat it like one, but self-care is not a luxury. It's something that helps regulate how we feel moving through this experience. You have to realize that we're in a very vulnerable space. Like, we just kind of appeared here on this earth, and it's very chaotic, and we didn't choose the experiences that we went through, or you know, it's like we're just a kind of, sometimes we just feel like we're losing control. How can you bring back the safety to yourself? Self-care is about creating that safety and creating a loving relationship with yourself, because, like, especially if you think about how crazy this experience is, it would be nice to be really close friends with yourself. And I think that's something very healthy that I think everybody should learn how to cultivate. And it will make your experience just feel so much more natural too. You'll have grace for yourself in all the moments when it counts. You'll notice naturally that you feel more safe and comfortable, and you'll naturally have more dreams, because the brain doesn't like to dream in survival. It thinks if we're in survival, there's no time to eat food, there's no time to digest, there's no time to be creative, there's no time to sleep, especially if we're in danger. And that's what survival does to our body. It puts everything on hold. So it's about taking ourselves out of survival and finding ways that naturally help us feel restful. You know, there's fight or flight, and there's rest and digest. How can I bring myself back to this space? And you'll notice that natural things like awareness, dreams, conscious dreams, like even just how you feel throughout the day, everything kind of starts to regulate, because it is all an inner game. So even with lucid dreaming and astral travel, how are you seeing those things? And what things do you feel are chores to you? And how can you see them in a different way? If I had a magic wand to see this experience in any way that I wanted to, what would this experience look like? If I could make the relationship with myself be anything, what would that look like? How would I talk to myself? How would I care for myself when I really need it, or when I'm sick? You know, how would I support myself in my business? Like, you create this roadmap of the person you want to be and how you want to feel, and like just the awareness of noticing what the thing is that you want to change and noticing what you want to become, it naturally starts to happen. This is why dream signs, for example, is a perfect example. I dream about schools all the time. And I have trained myself that school means, am I dreaming? And so our brain starts to create associations with things, and eventually you'll start to see a school and be like, oh yeah, that's my dream sign. I should do a reality check right now, right? The same thing happens with negative thoughts. If you notice a negative thought or a negative habit that you want to change, and you choose the thought that you want to replace it with, or the habit you want to replace it with, the next time that negative habit or negative thought comes up, you're naturally going to be more aware of the thing you want to replace it with. And then you do that exact thing, and you leave it on that note. For example, maybe you're really hard on yourself. Maybe you call yourself stupid or say that you can't do anything, and you notice yourself say that. Or even just think it. You want to replace it immediately with the feel-good thought that you want to have. So I'm always doing my best, and I love and accept myself totally for where I am now. Like, you replace a thought that mirrors that one in the best way, and you leave it on that thought. It's almost like training a dog. Training our brain is like training a dog. When something goes wrong, you correct it, and then you reward yourself for adopting that. And awarding yourself could even be just any form of celebration, any form of gratitude, anything that like feels like an energy of accomplishment to you. We don't celebrate our wins, so our brain doesn't know that we're winning. That's the thing. Even when it comes to having a lucid dream, an out-of-body experience, if we're not celebrating our milestones, our brain does not know that we hit a milestone, because we did not take time to celebrate it, or to notice it, or to create awareness around it, you know? And so that's why when people start to lose steam in their like businesses or their personal practices, where are you celebrating and awarding yourself for your wins? Like, even when it comes to a lucid dream, what do you do that day to like be like, hell yes, I'm so proud of myself, I did it? The key is using your feelings. If your brain thinks that something feels bad, even if it's a habit you want to build, but you see it as a chore, it's going to think you don't want to have that experience because of the feeling that you have when you think about it, right? So if you create a feel-good feeling with something that you accomplish, even as small as having a lucid dream, and you create celebration and do something even very small for yourself to acknowledge that you hit a goal, your brain's gonna be like, oh, that feels good. I love that feeling in my body. How can we do it again? It's like when you have a to-do list and you check things off. It releases endorphins. It feels good because you're accomplishing something. So your brain's like, oh, what's one more thing off the to-do list? Let's get as many checked off as possible, because it feels good to your brain to achieve something. So we have to let our brains know when we are achieving something, so it continues to strive after those things. So this is really something you can apply to any area in your life. Any area at all in your life. And I promise you, this will completely change your lucid dreams and your out-of-body experiences, or the frequency that you have them, or what those experiences look like. I promise you, it is all an inner game. I want you to worry less about the techniques and what time you got to wake up and this and this. How can you care for yourself a little bit more deeply? And how can you change the way that you see things so that it feels different in your body? Because if it feels different, you're going to act on that thing differently. Anyways, okay. Oh my gosh, thank you, the Hermit, for that donation. You are so sweet. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I got lost on the comments, and I need to drink water because I definitely talk a lot. I hope that you guys are getting something out of this, because I am definitely rambling a little bit, but hi Haylee, I just want to say thank you so much for your music. I lost my dad today and I have been dreaming about him the last few days. Your music has blessed me so much. Oh, Buddha, I'm so sorry. My condolences. Oh, I'm sending you so much love and I'm hugging you right now. I totally get what you mean about, you know, losing someone close to you. At least right now I am dealing with grief, and I just want you to know that you are loved and supported, and finding a way to keep his energy alive through doing his favorite things, listening to his favorite music, if anything that he truly loved to do. That's how I have found comfort in losing people close to me, is just trying to be in their energy as much as I can with my practices. And I started a journal for my grandmother. Actually, maybe this is something that would help you. After she passed away, I started a journal just to write in, like, how I was feeling, like our story, because I took care of her in hospice, and so I was writing down all the details that I wanted to remember forever. I took my time. I still haven't finished all of it because I'm just continuously writing it, but I had that little section in there. I had another section where I wrote down all of the signs and messages that she gave me after she passed away, to let me know that she's around me and that she's okay. And then I have a section that I write down all the things I'm grateful for that she taught me. I also have a section that writes down all the things that we have in common. And it's just a way to really connect with them. And I've noticed the more that I do that with my grandmother, and the more that I allow myself to just feel how I'm feeling and find a way to express that, it's definitely helped me feel closer to her and feel a little bit more supported as I go through grief. But if you ever need anyone to talk to, please reach out. I'm available on Telegram as well, and we have a community in there that would love to be there if you ever need support for anything as well. But yes, I'm sending you so much love, and I'm so glad that you are getting something out of my music, and I appreciate you for listening. And I always look forward to seeing your dream stories on my channel, so thank you for that. Cosmic says, I had 2 involuntary OBEs and I couldn't control my astral body. It definitely feels like walking for the first time. The more we build, you know, awareness and self-discipline with our awareness, we will get better at that. So even just practicing staying in a lucid dream for as long as possible and focusing on something, or even just seeing how long you can stay within the liminal state, that's strengthening your awareness, and it will allow you, because that's how we move through our out-of-body experiences, is through what we become aware of. So it's not like, I'm gonna walk to this corner. You think about that corner, you visualize yourself being there, and you kind of move around the out-of-body experience by will and what you're focusing on. So being in the lucid dream state and the liminal state, I found, is helpful for astral control. Meditation helped tremendously with my anxiety. Yeah, and breath work too. I mean, that's definitely helped me. I'm not worried, just wanted to share my experience in trying to figure out why it happened. Let's see. Oh, the second time I thought it was movement. Oh, did I miss something? Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed that. Anime girl. Um, think it's okay. Has been very sick and had dementia. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's rough, but um, you're definitely supported and loved and safe here. So thank you for spending this time with us. Yes, Greg is in Utah too. Okay. It's a holiday, 5 days. So if you're uh oh, okay. Diwali? Is that how you say Happy Diwali? Hmm. I thought you were talking about if I because in exactly 5 days is my grandma's passing, so I thought you're asking, oh, like celebrate it like a holiday, like we were talking about. But even that's not what you meant. That's definitely how I am gonna go about this. Um, and even right now, it's kind of like very nostalgic, as you know, from last year because how the house looks right now and how it's set up is exactly how it was last year when I took care of my grandma because I wanted to make it feel as like relaxing as possible. And even the sign that I put up right before they brought her over, it says, "This is your sign to become present and grateful." I put that on my wall right over her head where she was laying, and I still have it up. And so the smells of the house and all the lights and even how things are placed, it definitely feels like last year. But it is great because I was almost dreading this time. I love fall and I love Halloween and all that, but I definitely felt like I was going to feel a lot of resistance because of my grandma's first anniversary since her passing. But I've switched something in my mind where it's like this can be like such a beautiful time to become close to her and do all of the things that she loved, and even the stuff that I had last year. Like I almost want to initiate her spirit, like to invite her to still stay here, which I know she's here with me. I feel her all the time and she leaves me signs all the time, and I leave like offerings and stuff out for her. She loves wine, so I always have like red wine or something out for her. Um, but it's almost like I want to almost recreate that comforting experience that she had the same time of year every year. So yeah, it's just finding little ways to keep certain energies of our loved ones alive. You think someone who can get stuck or go in your body, a human maybe from far away? I feel like I had an experience of being controlled by someone in a way. I think so. The thing with energy is we have to basically agree to allow someone to penetrate our energy, and sometimes we can do it subconsciously, but I do not believe that anybody or anything has the ability to take over our body or our perception or leak our energy without our consent. I think that is a universal law, and I think that if we do feel like that has happened, it's either the belief that it can happen or we have given our consent or our willingness in some way to allow that to happen. It's like when some people say like an energy vampire is like sucking my energy out or something. Pretty much an energy vampire is just someone who leaks your energy. They could be like they could be someone that dumps out a lot of their issues on you just to kind of takes some of your energy and is in the same issue consistently. Like they don't do anything about it, but they always try to seek other people out to almost comfort them in a way. That could be a form of taking someone's energy. And a lot of the time, we almost gave them consent to do that because, and I relate to this. This is how I feel about my brother, my older brother, so I get it. Um, but there's always a level of either belief that it can happen or consent in some way. Um, so, on an energetic place, because this is one of the laws of the universe, and I believe that everything naturally runs that way at its core, and of course, the human experience is full of lots of beliefs and energies that have been man made, and those penetrate this kind of level of frequency. But if you go on other realms of consciousness, like in the lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences and stuff, it's free from the human condition of beliefs and of putting things in good and bad containers. That only exists for us humans. What defines good or bad? Everything is neutral. Everything just is, but we give things labels of this is good, this is bad, this is okay, this is evil, but that's just the way that our human mind is seeing it. Everything is technically neutral, and even the names that we give things. I believe that everything is nameless in the universe. Us as humans name things as well, so we can describe what we're feeling, so we can explain something to someone. It would be very hard to explain something without giving things names and labels and putting things in certain buckets. So outside of the human plane, none of that truly exists, because, and we can see that even when we have out-of-body experiences or near-death experiences, that's experiencing truth and awareness without the human mind, the human condition, all of those different beliefs, which is so crazy. And that's one important thing to know as well in the out-of-body experience, is knowing that you're safe and truly being in that belief that you are completely safe. That is what is your protection in anything in life, is your belief and what you allow yourself to experience. And also noticing if your beliefs stem out of fear or if they stem from something else, because if a belief is created out of fear, then it's not technically truth to you, because you know it's just out of fear and it's not anything that has a solid foundation. I hope that makes sense. That's definitely what I like to teach and what I like to talk about and what I like to believe in my own practices as well. And it's like the people who say that owning a Ouija board is going to get me possessed and that it's evil and that all of this. I don't believe any of that. And I haven't experienced any of that because of my belief. And you'll notice the people who don't really believe in spirits and stuff, they don't have hardly any experiences, right? They're like, it doesn't real, I've never experienced anything, because of their belief. But those people who have experienced the paranormal, they're like, I've experienced it, I know it's real. We all have our own realities that are created based off of our beliefs. So once we realize this, we know that the beliefs that we have and the experiences that we have don't necessarily mean it's going to carry over to someone else unless they share the same beliefs and we believe that thing as truth, right? Because everybody has different truth, and that's going to reflect in different ways, because again, our brain seeks to support our narrative. So if I truly believe that I'm going to have an awesome out-of-body experience and that's what I expect out of it, then my brain is going to work to support my narrative. And if I believe that, oh, if I use this Ouija board, I'm going to have a horrible experience, if I truly believe that's true, your brain will look for evidence. You'll be aware of any crack and sound that you hear in the room. Like, you start to experience reality in a different way because of the information we feed ourselves. So it's really, really interesting. Yeah, and that's okay, because, you know, people with the Ouija board, like, people also grew up in different generations and different times, and so beliefs were also different back then. And so even though we do come up with our own beliefs, we also do have generational beliefs that have been passed down to us that we believe are core truths, even though our mind is so fascinating that it will work to confirm our own way of seeing things. So I'd say, depending on what you believe to be true, that will kind of reflect in your experiences. But I want to tell you, Burning Light Spirit, I wholeheartedly believe, and you can even ask like Jade Shaw, she's an astral travel author and she's created courses on it and stuff. She will also tell you that you are always safe, and a lot of the things that we do to protect our energy are for us to feel like we are protected, because that is actually what creates our protection and guides our experiences, is what we feel to be true. Jade Shaw is Charlie Morley's wife. Charlie Morley is a lucid dreaming author, and she teaches astral travel. And she will tell, she's been doing this forever as well, and she will tell you, we were actually, obviously on separate times, but we were on this podcast called the Astral Lounge, and she got into talking about that, and it's all energy based. Energy is our beliefs, our emotions, our thoughts, and then we have physical matter, right? And so really our experiences are based on what's happening energetically in our own field. It's so interesting. Yeah, to me it's just a board. It's fun to mess around with. It works like a pendulum does, like tarot cards do. They're all forms of divination. And so it's as safe as a tarot card. It's as safe as a bundle of sage. It's as safe as a pendulum. Like, to me, that's truly my belief. And I've only experienced that, and I truly believe because that is what I believe. If that makes sense. Beliefs really do guide us. Jade Shaw. I grew up in Utah, and most of my family doesn't believe half of what I believe in. See, yeah, everyone will have their own kind of experiences. So, yeah, I just want to chat with my spirit guides and stuff. And my mom was like, no, you may not have one. And probably because of what her mother also said about it. It like goes back generationally, which is crazy. And we can break generational thoughts. We can break generational beliefs, generational trauma. We can break all these things. And it is down by just changing our beliefs and our thoughts and how we behave. Like, it's all down to our thoughts, feelings, and actions. That's truly what creates our experience. So if we're giving ourselves fearful thoughts, of course we'll have more fear about different experiences. It's all what we allow ourselves to believe. She had a bad experience with a Ouija board, that's why. And a lot of people do, who try it because they believe that they can. Like for example, look at how we've been programmed to believe, or like to think about Ouija boards in like horror movies and stuff. Like, it's so dramatized that like it seems wild, and it has created so much fear around it, right? And so people are like, no, I'm not messing with those. I've seen the horror movies, I've seen the Ouija board movies, or I've seen this and this, there's no way I'm touching it. It's because they're basing their belief off of what they have seen movies make it out of, or stories that are being told. And so it's interesting because it is true for them. They did have that experience. Yeah. And bad is subjective as well, so that's good to keep in mind, like what defines good, what defines bad, besides our own perception based off experiences and what we've been told, right? So that's already subjective. And even though her experience is true and it did happen, her reality is different than everyone else's reality as well. And so some people will have similar experiences who share similar beliefs about it, similar thoughts, whatever. And this is how you find groups of people who enjoy certain things. They're on the same kind of frequency as each other. And that's what allows us to feel connected to people, is sharing same beliefs or connecting with someone's way of seeing things or whatever it is. Exactly. Yeah, and I think it's like that for everything, which is really, really cool. It's like, again, this reality is kind of like self-fulfilling in a lot of ways. So it's really interesting. Yeah, and whatever we kind of believe, but to be honest, I don't believe in evil. I think that's a man-made concept, and I think that was created to create fear and to cause humans to act in a certain way, so we didn't go to hell, or so this wouldn't happen. I think a lot of these things that we believe are real are fear-based, and they were man-made. They were created in this earthly plane. They don't exist on other planes of existence, and that's just my personal belief, just in general. Yeah, totally. I've used the Ouija board to connect to my grandma, and and it also, maybe it was my subconscious moving it. Who knows? I just know that it was cool, and I'm also someone who really likes paranormal stuff. Like, I have like a ghost box, I have dowsing rods, I have different types of equipment that I have, and that's just been something that's been a part of me. My stepdad used to work at a haunted mental hospital growing up, as I was growing up, and he was the janitor at this mental hospital, and he would always have weird experiences and bring home like EVPs and recordings that he got, and I just got into it at a really young age. I also saw a lot of family members when I was really little who have passed away, and I didn't know what that was until I got older. And so I think this is just how I've always been. And starting like age 7, I started going out on the full moon and lighting candles and like doing my own little gratitude ceremonies for the moon. Like, I am just this way. I have not been convinced by other people. I have not been programmed by other people or anything. It's really just who I am. And it's just something that's honestly very healing to my inner child, because these are the things that I used to do when I was a child. I really got into cool practices like just tarot cards and meditation and paganism and crystals when I was like 9. Is when I really started learning about it. And my mom would be on, Cafe Mom, if you've heard of that website, and she would look up little spells for me to do and print them out. And I had this whole like little book of different like spells that I could do, just like fun things to make me feel, just to help me see the world in a more open, curious way. And I think that you know, that definitely reflects in my practices now, but that's why I don't believe in things that, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me, I guess. And like, I love learning about neuroscience and quantum physics and stuff, and because of the law of polarity and 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 looking at how the structure of the universe is so different than the human condition we live in. Like, so many things were actually birthed from our own thoughts, from our own mind, and only exist in this little bowl that we call the human experience. It doesn't echo through all of eternity, and these things exist on every plane. That wouldn't make any sense, because a lot of these things, like, are like, think about if we're the only humans, right? Like, think about, we're the only humans. If like evil entities or all this that kind of look like humans, or whatever people say about some of the things they see, which I believe they do see them. I believe in, obviously, nightmares and night terrors and all these experiences, but the things that we think exist everywhere, how would that be possible if humans only exist in this plane and you take us away, but yet there's humanoid things that we believe are like a core of the universe that exists everywhere? But where would that idea come from if we never existed? If this never existed, if these human meat suits never existed? So much is created off of the human condition, the human body, you know? And so I just try to think bigger than just the human, because it's so used to just get used to thinking you know, Earth is all that exists, and like, this is all that is contained in the universe and consciousness, when that's such a small way of thinking. Like, think about how big it is. And I think that's what's helped some of my thoughts or beliefs form, is just thinking on such a bigger scale than just this little Earth, and what would make sense to be true in all planes of existence, opposed to just one, if that makes sense. My grandma passed away almost 4 years ago, and often flashes of light to say goodnight. Completely understand you're smelling your grandmother. Yeah, I will smell her perfume. I will feel her kind of like caress my like head in the mornings. And I can feel when she's checking on me. It literally feels like someone's just like sitting next to me. Um, like today, she loved birds. She had so many birds, and I was talking to her. I look up immediately, and there's a bright red bird that flies over my head. And I was talking to her on my walk, and I told her that I hope that I've made her proud so far of the things I've done. And right as I said that, I made eye contact with a tree that literally looked like a perfect smiley face. Like, she was confirming, yes, I am proud of you, kind of thing. So it's cool that, yeah, like, whatever we're on frequency with, we experience synchronicities that support that one thing, which I think is pretty cool. Have you ever been intoxicated around any substance during a full moon in your past and growled pretending you had werewolf tendencies? I know it's weird, but this has happened to me. Not on any like psychedelics or substances. I have, me and my friend have ran out naked and howled at the moon, like the full moon. She lived on like this big, um, hill. Like, I think, what was that place called? What is it called? Something Hills, and it's like kind of a neighborhood that's like really in the mountains. And um yeah, we were into like witchy stuff too, and we would go out and howl at the moon and see if wolves would howl back. I believe that we are part animal. I think we're a lot more primal than we give ourselves credit for, and so I support that. I support going to growl and howl at the moon, and perhaps look over a cliff top naked and just dance around a fire. I support that. No, it's a place here that's called something Hills. I forgot. I never lived up there, but I always had sleepovers with my friend up there. But anyways, that's where she lived, and yeah, we've done some weird moon stuff. Yeah. I have astral projection, and I think I'm having trouble. Have you, when was the last time you had an experience? I would love to hear about it. And also, what we've been talking about throughout this live stream, of like energy clearing and like caring for our space and our mind, and working with our beliefs and our thoughts, that really is going to be like more than half the work. And the awareness, the building of the habitual awareness, that is so much of the work for lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences. Yeah. I think we're I think we need to be more primal. I think we feel like we're, you know, too shy and we have to act a certain way, especially in society and stuff. I would get with people that bring out the wild side of you, that bring not in like the woohoo party kind of way, unless you want to do that, but I'm talking about like the untethered, the untamed, wild, primal part of yourself. And find people that allow you to be that and also are that as well. And that's why like if I don't know if you guys have heard of Mia Magic. She's a witch online that has really cool practices, and like the stuff that she does with her friends is like so cool and it's just so primal and healing, and it's like this natural like sisterhood of like wise women that like can channel and transmute their anger from like hundreds of years of suppression, like even just back to the Salem witch trials, you know, and how so many people have lost their voice, and finding ways to embody that, to be heard, to take up space, and also to honor the roots of where you came from. I think that's a very natural thing to do. I believe everybody is kind of a witch at their core, you know, and really witch just translates to wise. That's all it is. Witch was known as a wise woman, and even if you read books back in the day or you collected herbs, you would get burned because they would believe that you're a witch, because she has a book in her house, she's making tea, she's out foraging some berries. No, not on my watch. She's gonna outsmart us all. And so people were so suppressed for doing these natural things and just caring for the earth in different ways. And we were told that that was wrong. So that's why even some people are scared to walk around barefoot. They feel like it's not acceptable in society. I hardly wear shoes ever. I walk everywhere barefoot. I even hike barefoot a lot of the time. It just helps me feel wild and natural and not constrained, you know? I always called shoes foot prisons because to me they feel like prisons for your feet when they need to be free, when they need to touch the dirt, where you know, you need to put them in the grass and experience the world through your hands and feet, you know? That's a very natural way to see or to explore Earth, is just with your senses, you know, and just like if I had a day all to myself, I would just run away in the forest, find different wildflower meadows, and climb up waterfalls, just like be so crazy. Climb trees and just like hang out like an animal. That'd be just great. I was barefoot so much of the summer. It was delightful. I know, and that's the only thing with getting cold. Like, I still went out today to take Juno on a walk without like putting shoes on, but it's starting to get very cold. And I like walking where the sun has warmed the grass, and you know, you can feel the coolness from the cement if you're anywhere with cement, or where, you know, the gravel on your feet. Like I could just experience. A desert is very warm and then freezes at night, and we get a lot of snow. It's already 44 degrees here, so, and it's, oh gosh. I'm not a huge fan of snow. I'll deal with it, I guess, for one more year. But then I'm finding a way out. I'm finding a way out. Yes, this is my wizard friend. Yep. I love him. You guys are going to see a lot of my stuff when I release my first episode of my podcast, because it's going to be in my room. We're going to be chilling on my bed. I've already set up the space for it. We're going to talk about dreams. I'm going to read dream experiences. We'll probably have people on the podcast. It's going to be like a little nice pillow talk, but about dreams. And it's going to feel very like it's just you and I sitting in there talking late at night when all the glow-in-the-dark stars come out, all the pretty lights come on. It's gonna feel very cool. But anyways, you will see a lot of my weird stuff when I start my podcast. Yes, 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 you know it. Well, guys, I am about to, I wanted to have the episode released by 11/11. I'm not sure if that's for sure gonna happen, but it is coming for sure. So that will be released soon. And then again, guys, just as a reminder, the Astral Project 12-month series starts on the 5th of December. This is going to be a year-long series, a group program where you, me, and everyone who joins will have access to live monthly classes taking you step by step into the world of out-of-body experiences. We will have Zoom calls, like dream circles, like mastermind type calls perhaps, live meditations. There will be tools and techniques and games and challenges that we do together. There will be a group chat where you get coaching and group access for the whole entire year. So this is pretty cool. And if you're ready to like kind of do some cool stuff with me in the community for the next year and really take your practices to the next level, then this is probably something that you are interested in joining in. And it's not like the last series where you can just get in month to month or purchase the classes separately. Enrollments close the beginning of December. So people need to be in for the first day, and those who unfortunately either don't join or whatever the case may be will have to wait until the next program. Or I'm sure I will start something else while that one is going on, but it won't be like a year-long program or anything like that with consistent work that we do in it. So if you're interested in joining, it starts on the 5th of December, and I will be closing enrollments probably the very beginning of December. So that is what is up. I'm going to try Astral Projection technique. I practiced for mine. Yes, Ryan Cropper is awesome. I've been watching him since the beginning of YouTube. I haven't watched him for a while, but he was someone that I watched like the very start of his YouTube journey, which is cool. I always love hearing about what else or who else you guys like to watch on YouTube, because I'm a huge YouTube fanatic. I love YouTube. I'm on YouTube all the time. Whether I'm making videos or watching them, I'm on regardless. Thank you for everything. I'll hit you up on Telegram if I start to feel sad about my dad. Your music is the best. Well, thank you so much for joining. I'm sending you so much love. Puta, I really do appreciate you and everybody for coming. Thank you guys so much for chilling with me. I know it was a little bit rambly. We did cover a lot, but I feel like these are like the most important practices when it comes to lucid dreaming and astral travel, and finding a way to incorporate that into your lifestyle so it doesn't feel like work. These are the things that I would recommend. So if you're looking for a especially if you're coming in at the end, if you're looking for a nice long podcast style episode to binge on my personal beliefs on what we should focus on when it comes to lucid dreaming and astral travel, I'd say this is a pretty good video for you. So I love you guys. Again, let me know if you have questions about the upcoming Astral Projection course. It's going to be so fun. Of course, I also do offer one-on-one mentorships, and I have different classes and programs that you and I can work together in. So just hit me up if you have any questions. I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to see you this upcoming Monday. And if you are looking for some sleep music tonight, I will be releasing my next track in like a couple minutes. So anyways, I will go ahead and get that going. I love you guys so much. Thanks again for joining. And join the Telegram, join the Facebook group, join all the places. You can find that with my Linktree link. And that is, it's in the description of all my videos, but it's also in my Instagram bio. Maybe Eric can drop my Linktree link before we head out, if you have it handy anyways. That will have most of my resources and ways to connect with me. Thank you, Eric. There's my Linktree for anybody who is interested. It was great chatting with you, Lucid Mystic Lady. I'll hit you up on Instagram for advice on whatnot. Sounds great. And guys, if I don't respond to you right away, just know that I have working hours where I do respond to messages. I do get a lot of messages and emails, and I try to work through them as fast as I can. But if I do not get to your message, I either haven't seen it, I haven't had time to go through it yet, or I'm trying to get some work done, or it is outside of my work hours. There's a few different things there, but if you have any questions about my services, questions about my services, any way we can work together, I don't want to delay your messages or have them get buried or anything, so shoot me an email if that's the case. But if it's just kind of like questions and sharing experiences, I will do as best as I can to get to you as soon as possible. So thank you guys for understanding. It's every social media platform that I try to catch up on. I get messages and comments in many different places on social media, so I try to do what I can to get through them and to get to you guys as fast as possible. But I do appreciate you for understanding. But if it is about enrollments or anything with a specific deadline or anything like that, just send me an email and I'll make sure to get to it. Alright guys, I love you so much. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It is always a great time. And as always, I'm sending you endless love and endless lucidity. Thank you guys. Love you.